Hello and welcome to the Voice Weavers. Today we are going to discuss a topic which has relevance in every age and every place. Language, our principal method of communication, and its discriminative use to suppress and diminish a woman's place in society. In April 2025, Indian influencer Apurva Makhija faced severe online harassment after appearing on India's Got Latent. A male contestant made derogatory comments about her friend's body, prompting Apurva to respond sharply in defense. Her retort, using language deemed unladylike, triggered a flood of misogynistic abuse on social media. Thousands of men sent her rape, death, and acid attack threats, while others slut shamed her, attempting to silence her for challenging the initial insult. The incident highlights how gendered slurs and threats are deployed online to punish women for speaking out. The idea that language can suppress women hinges on how it's wielded, historically and culturally. Words, labels, and narratives shape perceptions, often embedding biases that diminish women's agencies. Linguistic patterns in media, literature, and everyday speech can reinforce stereotypes. Think housewife versus breadwinner. Power dynamics play out in who gets to speak, interrupt, or define terms. Studies show men often dominate conversations in professional settings, sidelining women's voices. Yet language isn't inherently oppressive, it's a tool. Some may say language merely reflects reality, not shape it. Today, we've gathered to discuss how this important tool of evolution has been used or misused to shape linguistic norms, popular narratives, and cultural idioms, perpetuating gender inequality while also highlighting resistance and reclamation through inclusive language.
I think language has been a wonderful tool to label women as overly emotional, untrustworthy, being irrational. All they do is use this tool to minimize their credibility. Women's speech can be easily said as gossip, or any concern shared or asked can be nagging. Women has been definitely discouraged in speaking out loudly in public, and also kind of holding power, as if women need to be controlled.
Add to that, Arshana, not just that, I think we've all heard this phrase, iske पेट में तो कुछ नहीं पचेगा. So I think
Right.
that's a good way of, keeping women out of important discussions because she'll not be able to keep the secret. So let us not share it with her. Let us not give her the important details. Although I don't think it's just women who would go and share important details where it was not required. Anyone could make that mistake.
When we're talking about gossip, it's always related to women. It's never related to men. That is such an interesting fact. And obviously, men gossip too. I've heard them all the time, like in my family, in the office. And they will actually look down upon you if you don't join in. They'll be like, oh, you're acting too pricey. You want to be all goody goody. So it's so
Right.
unfair that the terminology with a very negative connotation is actually associated with women. And I'm not saying that women do not gossip, they do, but
Yeah.
men do too. And they get away because historically it is associated with women. So
Correct.
unfair.
Yeah.
What are the other words or phrases we can think of which are used against women?
I think one common word that I hear is calm down. It feels like a very general word, but it's very, they emphasize this word just the moment women wants to speak or something, just calm down. It's okay. It's okay. Just calm down, right? It's not even heard. Or why
Yeah.
are you so overreacting? And if concerns are raised, then I think you're not being too sensitive.
Hmm.
Am I supposed to be sensitive all the time? It's like by default, they take it that we are not sensitive, or can you be more sensitive? In general, women are sensitive and they want us to be more extra sensitive, I think. Or like recently, Ritu was sharing, they would just say, oh, it's just hormones.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you mean by hormones, right? As if men don't have hormones, right? So I
I,
think for me, I have heard these words, right? Calm down. Oh, stop overreacting. Like, no, I'm just responding, or I'm giving my opinion. It's not a reaction in the first place. So it can't even be overreacting, right? So that, and also hormones. Maybe it's just the hormones, right?
Mhm.
Or it could also be, speak softly.
Hmm.
Don't
Yeah.
scream. Watch your tone.
Yeah.
Our tone, when a man and a woman speak in the same tone, the tone of the man is fine, but our tone is very questionable.
I
So I
think,
think there are lots of little things which you would not even notice. There are a lot of things that we have just come to accept them.
yeah. Yeah.
We don't even realize.
Right. These words actually belittle us, our emotions and opinions. So it may seem like a general term, general word used in a conversation, but it actually genuinely suppresses our emotions and opinions. It's like, I'm not hearing you anyway. Unless you stop overreacting, I'm not going to give you any ears.
And sometimes you're just told even this, that you're a girl, just behave like a girl. What does that
Yeah.
even mean? Like, behave like a woman, be graceful. You don't ask a man to be graceful.
Be like a girl, as you said, Nidhi. We were not born with the manual how to be a woman.
Yes.
Were you born? No. Then, of course, there are words like be like a man, but why not be like a woman,
And why
right?
am I not told to be like a man when I'm angry? Like, why is there's so much of difference in the definition of anger for men and for women?
Yeah. Yeah.
Men
Yeah.
can go crazy if they are angry, but women must be graceful and show
Right.
their anger also very respectfully.
Actually, we are expected to be very magnanimous. So now, if you are magnanimous, you will anyways not be angry, right? We are not allowed to have an opinion. Don't have an opinion. If you don't have an opinion, there will be no difference of opinion. If there's no difference of opinion, there's no reason for you to be angry. Just accept what is given to you.
Hmm.
I think that is what it is mainly. Whatever comes your way, be thankful for it, be magnanimous about it, and life will be perfect
Perfect from whose perspective?
from the man's perspective, because that is the only perspective that counts. We are
What's your
told
tone,
not to
Ritu?
share.
You are being very condescending.
Right.
Well, this is a space where you don't have to watch for all that. Hmm.
So I am always labeled as someone who is very aggressive, someone who is very arrogant. So I'm used to it. Nidhi, that's all right.
I would say 90% of time it's actually the women who are stopping you from being yourself.
Correct.
Yes, obviously. That's absolutely true because see, this is something which is imbibed in us as children. And as
Right.
a child, most of that training comes from our mothers. And our
Mm.
Right.
mothers, I don't think my mother wanted to, silent my voice. I don't think that was her intention. But she wanted me to just be a mirror image of who she was and who she thought was the right way of being in the society. Because there was always this thing about, log kya kahenge? My child has to be perfect, and perfection was seen a particular way as the patriarchal society would want it.
I think I agree with that. And at the same time, I think older generation women has, in a large perspective, brought the younger generations of women in a frame. right? You're just confined to this frame. One, because men's world is dangerous, right? If you are frameless, if you are not protected in a compound, then you tend to be, open for all unwanted traumas that can happen. Second is also a mother's own fear of being blamed, that what kind of mother are you, what have you raised, right? Couldn't even now I've heard or saying like, couldn't you have raised a better daughter who could just listen to me, right? I have to tell one of the client's father saying that, hey, it's not the problem of your wife. Can you look at your daughter? What is she trying to tell you? Instead of blaming the mother, she's saying that, Dad, you're not hearing me. It's also women's fear. That's why she kind of maybe opposing the other women, because she doesn't want to be blamed. It's a fear there. Otherwise, I don't think women would ever go against women.
Right, I agree with you. And as a matter of fact, as a society, we have put this burden on women, that how their children behave or what their children do says a lot about what kind of a person the mother is. So I'll give you an example. Yesterday, my husband was rearranging the flowers. So we had a flower vase at home. He very nicely took out the old flowers, was putting in new flowers, cutting the flowers that could be put back in, and he made a very beautiful arrangement. And spontaneously, I said, "Oh my God, Neeraj, we have to give credit to your mom for how nicely she's raised you." Okay. And immediately he said, "This has nothing to do with my mom. This is all me." Now, when I look back, I was doing the same thing, right? If
Yeah.
I can give her credit for him making a flower arrangement, I could also give her discredit. So
Mm.
we somehow always keep on bringing anything that anyone does, man or woman, we keep on giving the discredit for it usually to the mother. So mothers really have a lot to protect. They have, it's a lot, it's in a way self-preservation when they
Right.
put these, they try to bind us or put us in boxes.
It is very gender biased because all the failures go to mother and all the successes go to father. Any shortcoming will definitely come back to the mother. The child wasn't raised well. If the child does not do well financially or in his career, his or her career, that also comes back to the mother.
Yeah,
I
you are.
think also slightly changing in that sense these days, because I hear many times telling my kids that, be inspired by your mother, look at the way she is, you should follow her, like those kind of things. Can you see how much work she does? How are you supporting her, or how are you becoming or taking things from her? Those kind of things I do hear that. And also in terms of like words that I used, I think they're very mindful in that sense. They
Mm.
don't differentiate in that sense. So it is changing, yet we are also not completely unconditioned ourselves, like Ritu said. It is also a lot for us to unlearn the ways that we have grown up with, and start actually using better words for what we were coined with.
I agree to that. But coming back to the use of language to actually suppress women, there is so much of language around words, phrases, which are derogatory to a woman's body.
Right.
That is the gendered stereotype we face, but we really don't know how to either confront because it is very shaming. It kind of brings up your own guilt for being a woman. I don't know. It has that kind of a psychological effect on
Yeah.
women. How
Mm.
can we address that? And how can we ask men to rethink that kind of usage of language?
When you talk about our parts of our body being used in a derogatory way when we look at different words, especially in Hindi, where these words are used, which are parts of our body. Um, and it, I would say, for me, particularly, it used to be I would literally go in a trauma in a way. I would completely freeze the moment I would hear the word. So now that
Mm.
you have said the C word, I cannot hear anything after that.
Mm.
And I don't know how to respond. I don't know what to say. Even if you were having a conversation with someone else and I'm standing next to you. So I think to a very great extent, I think the first step we can take as women, of course, we can expect men to stop using these words, but then, okay, now the onus is not on me. I can't really make someone else do it. I think it's a lot about getting desensitized to these words. Okay.
Mm,
And try and understand that, this is what this person is saying has nothing to do with me.
mm,
This has absolutely nothing to do with me. So I have, to a very great extent, a lot of these words which are related to body, or when we use the other slang, the negative slang at others, which again includes mothers and sisters. I have kind of, made myself understand at a very deeper level that this has nothing to do with me. This is his language. This is another word he's speaking, has absolutely nothing to do with me. So I have alienated that word from myself. It's not mine, it's theirs. They are speaking it, does not speak about me.
That's
And
absolutely
now,
correct.
the
But
moment I have been able to do that, I'm able to, function.
yeah.
And that is how, in a way, I'm coping. It's my coping mechanism. That
Mm.
in no way am I trying to say it is okay for people to speak like that.
Mm.
Okay? It is absolutely derogatory. It should not be done, but then I cannot stop others.
Shouldn't it be stopped?
It should be, but then us discussing or us going and talking to people also, we cannot stop the billions of people on planet Earth from saying these words, right? What I can do is work on what it does to me because it was really impacting me.
It's used jokingly.
Right,
It's used to insult, of course. I agree to one thing that we can stop using it and we can stop being affected by it.
right,
I also know this that 10 years back, I was not aware I could choose to not be affected by it. It really mattered to me. And
right,
I know there are like, billions of women there who
right,
don't know how to handle this.
yeah.
right.
We need to reclaim our bodies in that manner.
I think, see, in a way, even not being affected by it is a way of reclaiming because what
Mm,
you say doesn't matter to me.
mm,
This
Yeah.
doesn't matter to me is also reclaiming in a way because if I expect the other person to change, I'm giving away my power. I'm not willing to give away my power.
Mm.
Right.
mm,
So and believe me, it is never easy to not be affected by it. For me,
Yes.
I was able to do that simply as a part of one of our therapist trainings. We had to be desensitized with words. Archana, if you remember, as a part of our inner child integration therapy training, we had to be desensitized.
yeah.
Mm.
As a part of that exercise, I was able to, reach this point where, it's another word. I'm not reacting to it. Also, I think, as a woman, if it doesn't affect me,
Yeah.
it won't be fun for you anymore.
Correct. That's the best way, I would say. How much more can you use when it doesn't matter to me at all? Absolutely. And it should not be mentally not mattering, but it should also be at a body feeling level. And for that, as she rightly said, desensitizing our feelings towards it is very, very important. The words like witch, nasty woman, we have to somewhere start reframing as symbol of strength or
My daughter was once ordering some clothes, and as she was ordering clothes, I saw this t-shirt which said, "I'm a bitch." And I told her, please go ahead and order this for me because I want to be the bitch who has a voice. So we are owning it.
yeah.
And when someone saw, a friend of ours saw that t-shirt, he was like, oh my God, did your children buy this for you because they thought you were not being nice to them? I said, no, I bought this for myself because I'm saying I have a voice.
Mm.
And there
Mm.
was pin drop silence.
At least this friend asked you why you're wearing it.
Yeah.
I think most of the people will just assume what they have to assume and
Yeah.
behave accordingly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I think one of the ways for us now, whatever we are doing right now, this is a platform where we can talk about our or share about our stories. So, everyone gets awareness and how we can just reframe a word or desensitize ourselves. And, small, like a epicenter, it starts. And if each woman who listen or hears to this conversation that we are having today, and each one of us sincerely take responsibility to change two women in usage of words, then imagine how it will spread, right? So this is a attempt that will bring in a bigger shift in the entire society.
Claim the words. I agree to that, but I also want to associate one more aspect of words used for defining women's bodies. I think they're also used to control, oblique, suppress women's sexuality. We need to not just break away from our own idea of our bodies in terms of how it is perceived socially, but I think we also need to break away from those ideas to free our own sexuality as well.
Mm. Mm.
There are these various words, they reinforce the stereotypes
Yeah.
in every way, not just about our roles in society, but also our roles in our own lives, how we look at ourselves.
Mm.
I
Mm.
think that is where it really hurts us, it affects us, that and we need to find a way to deal and heal from that hurt.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so I see this being done a lot more to the girls of today, okay? Because the girls from my generation were not so sexually expressive. And by sexually expressive, I sexually expressive is wrong. It's wrong on my part to say that. Simply also by the way they dress. The way a girl dresses, we go ahead and give her names. Okay.
Yes.
And if there's a girl who has had multiple relationships, we again give her a name, we brand her. But a boy
Right.
who has multiple partners is a stud, a girl who has multiple partners is a whore.
Mm.
So we
Right.
are doing that as a society. You're absolutely right. Women are not allowed to have a sexuality. Women are not allowed to have pleasure. Pleasure is for men, and for us, there it is submission.
Yes.
Anything other than that is not acceptable, and we are looked down upon. And
Mm.
I think to a very great extent, I see the women in my daughter's generation reclaiming that, saying that no, this is not how it is. We are as much humans and we feel as much physical pleasure as men do.
And I think men are scared of that. They're just not used to of equality in any manner. I hope, I mean, if your daughter's generation, which is our kids' generation, they're able to reclaim it, then I'm really guessing that the men have risen to that level. The boys are, growing up in a different way.
Oh, yes, definitely. So I see that with my son also. Okay, my son is elder to my daughter. I see it's a very different generation. I'm very happy to see that So I'll give you an example of something that my son did once to just show you, how men are looking at women today from the next generation. Um, I was at the airport, okay, and I needed a sanitary pad. I did not have a sanitary pad. My daughter did not have a sanitary pad. And we left the restroom. We went out and my son and my husband were sitting. We have always been very open about this, okay? It's not a hush hush thing in my family. So we just went there and we told them, okay, I need a sanitary pad and we don't have one. So we'll just walk up to the chemist and pick up one. To my shock, my son pulled out a sanitary pad from his bag and gave it to me. I said, "You have this?" He said, "Mom, I have so many girlfriends. I always keep one in my bag in case anybody needs it." I was, I can't tell you, I had tears in my eyes.
That's amazing.
I was
That's
so,
so different today.
yeah, so the society is changing. Um, I think it's time, if the generation that's coming next is changing, I think it's time for the men of our generation and the women of our generation to also change. Otherwise, we won't be able to keep up with our children. They will not be able to relate to us anymore. So I think, at least from where I see the future, it looks very bright.
That's a very, very positive thing to hear. The gendered language is changing, or at least getting rejected or reoriented according to the new generation's demands now, which who are more expressive, more understanding, and definitely where we see the good, there is also an opposition which is rising. We see right-wing governments kind of, coming up in most of the countries of the world, and their main agenda is to go back to conservative value system, which is always a very patriarchal feudal system. And one of the tools of suppression of women in such system is the use of language. So my question here is that, is our next generation and us, people like us who want the change, who are happy to see the change, are we prepared for this clash, which is kind of inevitable?
Nidhi, what I feel about this is we should give a pat to ourselves on our back for the fact that this uprising is coming from the right. What it means is we have done enough work for them to feel the pain of it. Okay, so we are on the right track. Whatever we've been doing is working. That is why they need to, stand up for themselves and try to stop us now. Firstly,
Hmm.
I would say continue doing what you're doing. Believe in yourself. If at all you have any doubts about, what I'm doing, is it right? Then it's time to go educate yourself for us and for the future generation. For anyone to see me as a threat, basically by me, I mean the voice of the future, the people who want to bring about a change. If they're seen as a threat, that is because this voice is becoming powerful, it is becoming bigger, it is being heard. And also, I would say, this is like the darkest hour of the night is just before dawn. So what you're experiencing right now is the darkest hour, because where the right wing is trying to pull in everything that it has to stop the liberated or the woke people, as they are called, from moving forward. Now, as far as the gender the gender specifics are concerned, that we don't just have the male and the female, and we have the entire LGBTQ plus, not just in terms of sexual orientation, but also in terms of gender.
Hmm.
I think when we speak about women, we also speak about everyone other than the males. We are all one. We have to all stand united for us to continue in this forward, because they have been suppressed even more than what we have been suppressed through society, through language, and through everything else.
I feel certain changes at a professional workspace in usage of words can bring in better awareness, and it can have a ripple effect in general for all of us to really change. For example, if it's a quite a norm in the office to say a pregnant employee must inform the manager in writing. Instead of that, can we use employees who are expecting a child must inform their manager in writing?
And by that, as a society, we are also giving the onus of bringing up the child on the father,
No,
and just
absolutely
leaving it on the mother. So I think that's a very, very valid and excellent point. And as far as gender is concerned, I think in a lot of places now, even in the workplace, we see people write their names and write their pronouns next to it.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So the
Right.
corporate world has become much more accepting, and I really appreciate that.
Right. And even in some of the HR laws where I have read is he who completes the training will be eligible for promotion. Employees who complete the training will be eligible for
Right,
promotion.
right.
Right. These are some of that. Yeah. So and also dress code stating women must wear skirts or dresses.
Yeah.
Right. Employees must wear professional attire appropriate for the workplace.
So last week itself, I had come across this reel, and I think I shared it with both of you also, where this little 5, 6 year old girl is reading a book and she questions, why are things man made? Yeah. Why is it mankind? Why can't it be people kind and people made? I think that is, and when I saw this reel is when for the first time I thought about it. And I was actually very sad that I had not even noticed it. In this long life of mine, I did not even notice that they were saying man made and mankind, and in some way it was language being used to suppress women.
Absolutely.
And today, like I said, the future is very bright because if a 5, 6 year old girl has noticed something that I haven't noticed as a grown up woman, that's amazing.
The language has been used in this manner, keeping the man as the creator, as the protector, as the leader of the world. All right. And if we try to shift from that language, the position of the man gets undermined. And this is where the backlash is already coming from. Who was the teacher of Socrates? It was a woman.
His wife, yeah, yeah, yeah,
We don't hear that.
yeah.
No one tells us that.
And thanks to her anger that he was such a philosopher, right? Yeah,
Well, I
yeah,
think most men are anything only because of the women in their lives.
yeah.
So actually, you know what, Nidhi?
They are
Actually, there
both.
is a positive and a negative to it, okay? When you say behind every man there is a woman, you are, of course, yes, yes, we are taking credit for it, but we are also being made to stand behind it.
Right.
Agree, absolutely agree. What
Like,
I meant was that whatever we may do, we may actually be making the presentations at night, which our husbands go and give in the morning, but they get the credit. All right. We may be doing the research for the book he's writing, and he may give us a thank you note, and that's it. It's like so much of our work goes into, but we are also told to not claim our share of the accolades.
hmm.
Like, why do you need it? Be selfless. Oh, you're so good. Everyone knows how good you are. You don't need to show it. But that's the whole point. Are the girls today, are they reclaiming it? It's my work. And so much of it is done in the name of love. It's your child, it's your husband. Why can't you just do it for them? Oh, you sit at home, you're free only. Why don't you just do this?
Yeah. I think, Nidhi, to a very great extent, the next generation is doing it. And I think I have to really thank my children for the fact that I have so much of a perspective of what's happening in the next generation. Because recently I was talking to my daughter and her friend, and both of these girls, they told me that, you know what, mom, everyone thinks, so my daughter has a boyfriend, and my daughter said, you know, everyone thinks my boyfriend is very stylish. But do you know all the ideas that he gets for the kind of clothes that he makes or he wears? It comes from me. So where is my credit? I'm very upset with me. Okay, she was complaining to me about it. I'm very upset with him. I get a tattoo on my arm and he gets another tattoo on his arm which is very similar. His friends look at it and they say, "Oh my God, this is so amazing. How did you get this idea?" Now, under that tattoo, he needs to write Ami because he got the idea from me. Or every time someone looks at it, I want him to tell them that this is not my idea. This is my girlfriend's idea. And frankly speaking, I was also thinking that, you know, is this really important? But right now, as you put it in context, I'm like, oh, yes, she's absolutely right.
Yep.
This is
What happened?
copyright.
Yeah,
Idea, my idea, it's my copyright.
right. So I think, yes, the future generation is asking to be recognized for what is theirs.
You know, this reminds me of a story, my experience. So my husband was posted in one place, and we needed to redo his office. He was getting a new office built, and I did the interiors of that office. Much later, when I was visiting some other officer's house, he didn't know me. I was visiting with my brother-in-law and my sister, and they were talking about how they had visited my husband's office and how it is like the best office they have seen in all of India. So my brother-in-law very graciously is like, "Oh, you know, Didi," like he calls me Didi, like Didi designed it. She did the interiors for it and everything. The officer was so shocked, he couldn't believe it. He just changed the topic. And and like, it's just like I couldn't even reclaim my moment of glory. It came and went. But I was happy to know that, you know, some people think it's one of the best police officers' office in India. But the point is that they themselves will not accept that a woman designed it.
If you're really asking for it, if you are really expecting, then you're easily coined as, oh, don't be so emotional.
Or
Or
attention
don't be so
seeking.
petty. Don't be so petty. Like, why are you being so petty about it?
So what if you have given this idea, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
When few of my friends were here and she has a 20-year-old daughter, and this is exactly again from a perspective of conditioning and unconditioning from us. So the mother is talking something and the daughter, grown up daughter, says, "You're being so emotional again. Just stop being emotional." My husband, talking in between the girls' talk, and said, "Your mother is passionate about that topic, what you're talking.
Mm.
Can you focus on what she's actually saying? She's passionate about it. Can you see that? It can happen to any age. So it's very important for us to bring that change, and it will happen only when we start really reflecting and using it in our, it has to naturally come. It just can't
That's
be
the
taught.
point. That's the point. You know, you say it has to naturally come, and then it has to be at an individual level. All right. If I feel offended, I need to find my way around it, figure it out, stand up for it, you know, have my boundaries, change the language, reclaim it. Why should I have to first understand, oh, it is derogatory to me? Oh, it has been happening for centuries, but it is not right. And I'm unknowingly doing it, but I need to change myself. It took me 40 years to realize this. Half my life is gone. For the first half of my life, I have lived that way. And I have suffered everything and come to this realization. But there are many who will not realize that it's wrong. And I know it because people have told me this is the way of the world. You live in your imagination. God knows what you think. People talk like this. That's the way. Just accept it. And they continue living like this. It's not just they continue living like this, they propagate it. They force others to accept it.
To make it very simple, look at how you will change your own life. You may have 10,000 things which are upbringing and your DNA wise wired to it. But if you change 10 things reflecting that 10 things that you start to practice and that becomes a habit, like a ripple effect might actually clear 100 things. And knowing you, someone else can get inspired to clear that one or two or three things that will again further clears 20 things for them.
The change is everyone's personal journey. But I
Yeah.
also feel that my awareness did
Hmm.
not just come from my own experiences. It
Hmm.
also came from reading a lot about other women's experiences. My experience, my feelings got a literature. They got an expression in other women's words. Temina Durrani, Taslina Nasreen, their stories are so relatable in so many ways. There's so many others.
What do you think they did?
They expressed and they challenged. They got,
Exactly.
so I agree to what you're saying. We need to talk more and more about it. We cannot leave it at each one's personal journey. In the last episode that we had done, we talked about how the Parda system went away on its own.
Yeah.
Something changed, right? We need a movement like this that in 50, 60 years, this also goes away. No one has to go through the atrocities of bad language.
I think by talking today, we are doing that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. We are speaking up kindly but very clearly. You know what I mean? Right? And it's also important to credit women openly. It's okay to make other women be open to accept the credit. The acceptance is also missing there, right? And as you rightly said, challenging the stereotype respectfully, then the shift can happen in men or in the society.
I had a very positive
I
experience
have
very recently. So I'll just share this.
Yeah.
My son had to go for a tournament. Now, I usually don't drive here. So I said, why don't you ask your papa? He can take you. But I think he was not feeling very well. So he didn't want to go. And it was getting very late. So I literally had no option. I was like, all right, I'll take you. And we got stuck in really bad traffic. And so we were going, and I was trying my very best to go as fast as possible because his match was going to start. And of course, everyone was in a hurry. So there was a lot of maneuvering on the road. But anyway, I try to make it funny. I was like, you can't come in here now, you little red car. This mommy has to take her son for this tournament. And I was making it funny, and we were joking and we were going. And so I remember by the end of it, he's like, Mama, you are my hero. Because if I had come with Papa, I would be so scared. He would be abusing everyone on the road. And he's like, I get scared when he drives. And he's like, you took the same amount of time, but I felt no pressure. With Papa, because his language is such, he's so used to of, abusing. And we all know the abuses men use. So, like the other day, he's like, I learned so many new words from Papa when he's driving. I'm like, please don't remember those words.
Who says women are terrible drivers?
See, this is
Right?
another stereotype.
Exactly. So, women are fun drivers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
So actually, Nidhi, you just
wonderful.
gave an example of the point I was going to make, which was this, that as mothers, we are actually very powerful by the
Mm.
way we can influence the upcoming generation, is by empowering our children to take the society forward. And it will, without us even recognizing, even noticing, a movement will happen and a change will come.
We again are putting the onus on women, on mothers, on how we are raising our children, and it will have an effect. And I don't remember my mother teaching my brother any bad language, but he uses it.
I'm not
But
putting the onus on anyone else because I don't want to put the onus on the men. Then it's out of my control. I'm
even
going
if
to be the change maker.
I agree to that, I agree. But again, I'll come back to something that you had said, Ritu, is
Yes.
that I cannot expect anyone else to change. I can only change myself. Wouldn't that also go for our children, for the next generation?
Yes, so that's absolutely right. The moment I change, see, our children are mirrors. They mirror our behavior. They don't mirror what we say. So, how I behave as a mother, what they see me doing as a mother, if they see how passionately I feel about language, if they see how passionately I feel about equality, how passionately I feel about not being suppressed, how to me mankind is not okay and I want it to be people kind, as they see me express that and do that and live that every day, it will automatically get imbibed in them. And to your point, your mom did not teach your brother the bad words, but her acceptance of that language allowed for it.
But she didn't accept it. He wouldn't use it in front of her, but he uses it otherwise.
So perhaps it's the greater acceptance of the society, but then
Exactly.
the moment we start pressing on, on the fact that we are equals, at some point, I think, leaving the bad words which use women in derogatory way may take a bit longer. But I think to me, the first step is to say that, okay, it's people kind. We are as important.
Changing this for from every man has the right to freedom of speech. Every individual has the right to freedom of speech.
Thank you so much, Archana, for putting it up so beautifully. Thank you so much. I think today's discussion was very enlightening, and I know that it touches each one of us. So, thank you so much for expressing yourself, and thank you to our viewers for listening to us. And we hope to hear your views. Please do write to us in the comments, and see you next time. Thank you. Bye bye.
If every one of us can write down 3 to 5 words which we don't accept and see what we can reframe it to, and just start with those 3 or 5 words, that will make a huge difference.